It's a bright but cold winter's day here, and I'm in the same location as I was last summer when I got 20 of my friends together to help me answer the question, what's it like to stand in a medieval shield wall and receive an attack? My first experiment back in the summer was to line up my friends in two teams, yellow and red, and have them in what I was thinking of was a thin shield wall. This is represented by film and telly all the time because they just don't have enough people, but I didn't think it would be representative of an actual battle line. I thought that the shield wall itself would hold momentarily, but then it would burst asunder and then the battlefield formation would be lost completely. I also was interested in whether the whole organisation, both sides, would rotate anti-clockwise, because the sagas talk about that. I was a bit concerned that we didn't have enough men there, so I thought we might not see that. But let me show you what actually happened. Forwards. Hold it. Hold it. How you can keep doing this for a day, I don't know! As expected, that shield wall fell apart very quickly, but not very historic to have a thin one like that. And our next experiment was thickening it up, 2 men deep, 5 men wide, and let's see whether something that is probably closer to what actually happened on a medieval battlefield, let's see how that unfolded. Forward. Push right! Push right! Push back line! Push in the back! Push in the back! Left back! That was fascinating. The addition of a second line of men meant that if one person in the front slightly stumbled or lost their footing, it didn't immediately collapse the formation. The formation had a resilience. It had an ability to respond and react to the enemy. And ultimately, it fell over when everybody basically collapsed to the ground because they were all really tired. The medieval shield wall is a very strong defensive formation. It's as strong as the number of men deep. It's as strong as the position chosen by its commander. And of course, the ends of the medieval shield wall are vulnerable to outflanking. So what the canny commander would do is choose a hilltop, they'd choose the ends of the shield wall to be protected by a feature of the terrain. That might be marshy ground, it might be a river, it might be a wood, something to stop people outflanking that shield wall easily. If you're trying to break through a well-positioned, well-manned, carefully organised shield wall because you're trying to win the battle as opposed to not lose it, what do you do? Well, we're aware of a formation made particularly famous by the Vikings called a boar's snout. That's a triangular organisation of warriors and their shields, and it is supposed to be able to break through a shield wall. Is that true or not? Well, the only way is to try it and see. So we organised people into shield wall and boar's snout and made them fight each other. Let's see what happened. Oh! Well done. Well done. Brilliant. Love it. The sagas were right. The boar's snout is a very effective way of punching through a static shield wall. Don't forget that the sagas talk about 500 men being in a boar's snout. We only had 5. And the power going through that chap at the front, or those small formation at the front, must have been immense. It was probably a place where you got killed, but it was also probably, knowing the Vikings, a place of great honour. And you might have got chopped to pieces and stabbed many, many times, but if you bust through that shield wall, you might be dead, but you'd be famous in the afterlife. I've come to the conclusion that shields aren't just a collection of wood and leather. They're much more complex than that. To people not using them, you might just think, oh, you know, just gets between you and the enemy. And yes, it does. Fundamentally, that's what it does. It's a device to stop you getting injured. But they also represent so much more. By looking at a shield and using it, we can see how they must have been used on the battlefield. And it has been an absolute pleasure to stand in a shield wall and have people hit me. That sounds crazy, but it gives you a bit of an insight into the psychology and what it must have been like back then in a battle. And also later periods, we see the kite shield much more suitable with its strapping for use on horseback. That helps us understand that people would have been fighting from horses at that period of time. So in a way, by looking at the shield, although it's slightly less glamorous than the sword perhaps, the shield can show us the mind and the methodology of the medieval soldier throughout history. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget that notification button. We've got a lot more exciting episodes coming up every Friday, and look forward to seeing you then.